And welcome to the Big Bets on Campus podcast. I am your host, Matthew Michael Cox. Ky McKeon, Jim Root flank me as the other two esteemed members of the three-man weave. We're going to break it down, another BBOC episode, hitting the Monday and Tuesday college basketball slates hard. We are in conference play. We are off and running, coming off somewhat of a weird weekend. We'll get to some of the trends that we observed. Obviously, I don't want to overreact to anything too soon, but such is life as a handicapper. A little bit of I'd say, Ky, disjointed itinerary for today's show. We're going to hit a lot of the big games in the first big game section because there are a lot of big games on Tuesday. Big Ten, SEC, ACC showdowns galore. So apologies if you came here looking for favorites or live dogs or mid-major discussion. We'll touch upon those very quickly because a lot of the meat is front-loaded with those big boys, like upwards of 10-plus games to talk about there. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Again, most of these are Tuesday, but Monday there is some Big Ten action, and then a kind of a random one-off Big 12 bout between Houston hosting TCU. But first, Ky, Wisconsin at Rutgers, Ohio State at Minnesota. Let's talk about the Wisconsin Badgers going to Rutgers, who, without Dylan Harper, did not look so great at Indiana. Now, Ace Bailey was awesome, but they lost.
It was.
And I think this is going to be one of those weird Ken Pom discrepancies. Ken Pom has Wisconsin favored by 4. Imagine Rutgers as a home dog at the rack against the Badgers. Do you think that's anywhere close to warranted?
Well, without Dylan Harper, absolutely. But what's wrong with him? What's wrong with Dylan Harper?
Illness.
Aha.
Late scratch.
Red
I don't know if it's
red flag.
Norovirus or if he has a cold or
Golly.
what.
Yeah, when your best player, he's one of the best players in the country. When he's out and you're relying so heavily on him and Bailey to do most of your scoring and most of your offensive output, yeah, it's a huge problem. At the rack, Matthew, I'd be very excited to back Rutgers as a 4-point dog. I don't think they will be a 4-point dog, Jim. We're basing this off Ken Pom. I think markets will hit that pretty quickly, especially with the fact that Harper was out last game, probably in this game. It does set up for a good spot for them, though, especially with Wisconsin getting off the schneid in Big Ten play and getting their first win against Iowa last game.
Wisconsin was 21 of 31 from 3 against
That's pretty
Iowa.
Good. Yeah.
I don't anticipate that continuing, but if I had told you guys 2 years ago that Wisconsin and Rutgers would play a game with a total of 160 points,
Yeah, right.
and I would be leaning to the over, like there's just no way you would believe that. But the Harper thing is big for both side and total. If he's out, I certainly lean under because there's just not as much shot creation. Like Ace Bailey went off early against Indiana, and when he stopped being a superhero, Rutgers could not score. So if he's not in there, I would definitely look towards the under. I think markets will hammer it if he's not in there. But I do expect him to play. I'm with these guys. I lean towards Rutgers at home with those guys in the fold, with the 2 freshmen better at home typically. And I think that's been kind of Rutgers' MO this year. So, Matthew, I would like to catch really any points with the Knights. I might take them even at like a pick 'em. Like I think it's kind of a house of horrors for the Badgers.
I think this is going to open. It's going to close around a pick. That's my market. That's my Matty market indicator prediction there. And everything in my plumes is telling me to bet Rutgers, but 2 concerns. The Rutgers at home, as a great home dog as they have been at the rack, was built under the gritty personality of the old Peichel teams. This is not that, right? This is like a young score, finesse guard, almost, guard-centric type team. And I just don't love that matchup, especially so far this year. Again, very early, Big Ten home courts have not been as, automatic print money ATM as they have been in years past. Very early, but I think it's around 500, the up-to-date ATS. So just noteworthy. Again, as we transition here to Ohio State and Minnesota.
Oh, Matt, a quick
go.
Audit myself on House of Horrors. It was for a while, but Wisconsin has not played there in 3 years, and they have won the last 2 meetings outright, covered against the spread too. So they won and covered their last 2, but before that, it was 3 in a row losses and non-covers. I just remember that 2015 team that was like one of the best 3 teams.
Really good team that couldn't win.
Lost at a terrible Rutgers team, but so the last 2 they've been able to win there.
Well, if we need any team, if any team in the Big Ten needs its home court to mean something, it's going to be Minnesota hosting Ohio State. Gophers, Ky, 0-3 in Big Ten play. Last 3 games, they've given up 90, 82, and 81 points against good offenses. Yeah, some hot shooting, but still like a gritty Ben Johnson type team. If you don't have any defensive backbone, spine, I don't know what you have. Like that's kind of my concern here. 7 is a projection. I feel like that actually might be close to what it opens. Maybe it's a little bit lower, but not much.
Yeah, this is sad. Minnesota appears to be circling the drain, and they have NIL issues clearly, and Ben Johnson, who I think is a pretty good coach and does what he can with what he has. That the talent is so low this season for Minnesota. It's unfortunate that he just can't get anything going. Now, 7 points is a lot. I think the barn means something. It is a solid home court. Maybe it doesn't matter because they are so horrible this season, but I would lean their way against an Ohio State team that I think is pretty darn good, but maybe still a little higher than they should be in analytics currently, just based on a couple results. The Kentucky game put them up like 10 spots just off the bat, off that win. I would lean towards Minnesota, Jim, if it's 7, but I'm not sure I'm eager to bet the Gophers.
Yeah, I thought Michi Johnson being out would mean something for Ohio State, but Glover's been really good. Mobley's been awesome, like a terrific freshman. They've kind of been able to fill that void. I kind of lean towards Ohio State here because I think Minnesota is that bad. They're giving up 1.32 points per possession in league
Oof.
play.
Mm.
Like that is heinous. They're 59% 2-point percentage they're allowing. They're last in the Big Ten in defensive rebounding. They don't force turnovers. Like they're just bad at everything on defense, and I think Ohio State can exploit a little bit of that. I like Kai said, this Minnesota team circling the drain. I don't want to catch the falling knife or even just try to find the spot where Minnesota's going to look
Yeah.
good. It's Ohio State or nothing for me, and it's likely going to be nothing.
I'm kind of with Kai. I like Minnesota. So defenses look terrible against Purdue, Indiana, Michigan State. Like Ohio State's talented, but I don't feel like they don't have that interior physical advantage. Even though you would think with Dawson Garcia that shouldn't really be a strength, but it's kind of where they've been beaten up so far against the big boys. All right, speaking of big boys,
He's a little
Houston.
soft. Dawson's a little soft.
He's
skilled.
he's skilly, a little more finessey. Yeah, that's fair.
Worth noting, Ohio State's been horrible offensively through 3 games in the Big Ten, second
They have
worst in
been.
the league, like less than a point per possession. Yeah,
Yeah, I do
small
think they
sample
miss.
size.
I'm a Michi. I think I like Michi Johnson more than his family. So I think he matters. But hey, we will see. Yeah. So before we get to Tuesday here, Houston hosting TCU. Houston going to be laying a big number. KenPom has it 17. I mean, maybe 20, 15, 15 to 20, somewhere in there, probably, right, Jim? I kind of was like, hey, Houston's not all that special this year, guys. I was like, nah, their defense is still amazing. They've completely suffocated Big 12 offenses so far. TCU, yeah, they scored 81 against Arizona, but this is not Arizona. Total is kind of a fascinating handicap here, Jim. I don't know. I didn't really have a take on the side. It's a big conference spread. It's tough to really peg what happens here. But feels like a low scoring game, frankly, kind of a throwback Big 12 battle.
Yeah, if I were gonna do, I mean, I guess with a total, I'd probably go TCU team total under. I have no idea how they score. They can't shoot, and Houston is number 1 in the country in 2-point percentage defense. They're number 1 in block rate. Tugler and that entire front line, Francis Roberts, like they swat everything. They eat you at the paint, and you have to make jumpers over the top. And TCU can't do that. Like it's a very, very poor shooting team. I kind of think Houston smacks them, but that's why I'm afraid of betting the under because maybe Houston just goes off. They just put up 86 on BYU. They knock down everything from the perimeter. Perhaps they stay hot. Kai, I would lay up to 18 with Houston. I think TCU is like legit bad, and that's what Houston is built to destroy.
Yeah, I'm still on this Houston train. They decimated BYU. 0.87 points per possession. BYU, a top 30 offense, scored against Houston. And if you watch that game, it was like frightening how active Houston was, how much they bothered BYU, how much they dominated them on the boards. The number 1 defensive rebound team in the country was BYU going into that game. Houston's at a different level, and TCU is not an offensive juggernaut, to say the least. Jim mentioned the shooting. They're outside the top 150 in offense overall. They're coming off that win against Kansas State. Hey, fat and happy. You got your 1 win in conference. I think it's going to go downhill. They're also getting lucky from the 3-point stripe, too, on the other end. They're 8th in 3-point percentage defense and still kind of struggling right now analytically. So I like Houston as well in a runaway.
Yeah, you look back at last year, Houston in home conference games beat West Virginia by 34, Texas Tech by 23, UCF by 15, Kansas State by 22. Like they blow teams out at home. And I think they keep doing it here.
Yeah, it's like they rise they rise highest to the highest competition at home. It's like they dominate AAC teams for so long, they get tired of blowing teams out. Now they get the chance to do it against real Big 12 competition. It's just pretty impressive what Sampson's done. All right, to Tuesday we go. Let's hit the SEC first, and here are kind of the 3 best ones. You got Tennessee going to Florida. #1 overall going to Gainesville off of that crazy Florida UK game on Saturday. Probably the game of the year in terms of just pure offensive pro level performance. Like that's just a different game than what we usually watch in college basketball. So that was just awesome. Mississippi State goes to Vandy, Mark Byington and the boys, Ky, in Nashville. And then Auburn heads to Texas, Jim. Auburn's been cozy at the Jungle for a while, but they're still really good. And that's a team of adults. I don't feel like that road spot's going to trip them up. And just in terms of the KenPom projections around any of these, I don't have any strong leans situationally or matchup wise. What's your thoughts on some of the SEC bouts on Tuesday?
I'm tempted to go Auburn. I just don't think Texas is all that good. I think they're going to be completely outclassed on the sideline. I think Pearl's got that team firing on all cylinders, and I don't really believe in Rodney Terry to come up with a great game plan against a team that's infinitely more talented than them. So I would probably lay up to 9 or 10. I know it's 10 at KenPom. Maybe you get people betting the home dog there, but definitely lean towards Auburn there. The Tennessee Florida one's really interesting. I kind of like the 0-1 in the SEC Gators, Ky, against 1-0 off to their nice start. Tennessee sitting atop the national rankings in the AP poll. I have come around on Tennessee. I was a little skeptical of whether they were, this elite supernova team, and then they handled Arkansas start to finish. Yeah. They were the clear better team, up 15 like the entire first half, won by 24. But I think Florida might nip them. I kind of, it just like sets up as this huge home spot off a loss. The Gators, the O-Dome, Ky. I kind of like Florida there.
But I tell you what, every time I watch Florida, I'm like, this team is national title contender good. They passed my eye test with flying colors. I keep moving up my power ratings. I know they lost to Kentucky. Kentucky was shooting out their ass, and Florida was still right there. Like this
Florida
team's
shot
scary.
81% inside the arc against Kentucky.
Yeah,
81%.
Hey, Tennessee's scary too. They're #1 defense. You know how good Houston is on defense? Yeah, Tennessee passed them, and they're #1 now on defense. So they're awesome too. The SEC's ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, Auburn 130.50 rating. That's the highest in KenPom history right now. Currently, they are the best offense in KenPom history. 1.3 points per possession. That's insane. Auburn's a different beast now. Shoot, man, you're going to make me lay double digits on the road in a conference game against a Texas team that's not like bad. They're not talented. That's crazy. I do lean their way. I'm not fading Auburn. I did actually successfully do it with Mizzou. Somehow Mizzou covered at the end there. They probably shouldn't have. But Matt, I do like the Gators. This is their game, I think.
I think I leaned Florida as well. But man, Tennessee's burned me a bunch. It's not just this year. Like last year, I kind of undervalued this team, and I think it's just like you have the postseason shortcomings like clouding your judgment of this team. But like for the regular season, like, Rick Barnes has been pretty, tough to argue with his results, both outright and ATS. In the Vandy game, I have no strong opinion. Man, Byington's been really good. They really haven't been tested. This is the first real team they've played. Like their record so far is a bunch of good wins against some good teams, very good teams. But Mississippi State is kind of in like that upper echelon, elite-ish SEC caliber. Again, a team of adults. Cam Matthews, like this is not like, walking into Vandy's, or like it's not going to be a major home terrifying spot. Sorry, Vandy fans. No disrespect. Just call it like I see it.
Vandy has not played a top 50 team, and now they get
Nevada
15.
Was close, and who was their other?
Nevada, LSU's 59th, Drake 72nd, Nevada 58th.
I think Miss State.
This is a big test. Yeah, I like that guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's go Big Ten here. UCLA hosting Michigan. I just watched Michigan play with their food for most of the game against USC. Like got up 10, and then USC made a run, got back up 8. USC made a run. Now they go back to UCLA, and they stay in LA, and UCLA has to come back from Nebraska. So it's weird how they set up some of these schedules where, like, this isn't. There actually shouldn't be a huge home court advantage for UCLA. Like, there's no quite literally the home team's traveling a lot farther than the road team here, Jim. Can Michigan and their turnover issues, can that be bottled against a team that forces a ton of them? I think this could be kind of a shell shock for the Wolverines in their backcourt. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't love the UCLA off a loss. That situational part of it kind of hampers me. But UCLA also might not have Daly or Kyle up front, and you don't want to be missing two big guys
Daly's
against
tough.
Golden and Wolf. Like that is a really big problem area. Michigan just exploits you inside. They're #2 in the country in 2-point percentage offense. Like they just get layups, they get dunks because they've got immense size and they move the ball really well. The 4-5 pick and roll is all the rage with them. I just don't think UCLA can handle it without those injured big men. I would keep a very close eye on Daly. If Daly plays, I would start to lean more towards UCLA, but without him, it swings me all the way to leaning Michigan. I think he's so important in this matchup.
Man, super tough for me. I don't think either team is maybe as good as people think. I like both teams. I don't think Michigan's number 12 in the country, for instance. I'm not sure what result has them that high. I looked through the results. I've watched their games. It's like I think this team's really good, but a tad overrated analytically. The turnover thing is real. UCLA number one in the country in forcing turnovers, and they are legit on defense. It is for real. Watching that game against Nebraska, even UCLA's defense was incredible, and Nebraska pulled that out, obviously. And also UCLA Bilodeau is incredible as well. However, maybe against Michigan has a little more trouble with the Twin Towers, actual size that can bottle him up. He's going to try to play on the perimeter a bit, which might be a problem for Michigan. But yeah, man, I'm very much on the fence in this game. I probably will say all the way away.
Ah, come on. I'm riding with Dusty.
Yeah.
I lean Michigan here. Here's why. Their turnover issue is largely self-imposed. It's not like, and they haven't been terrible against like huge pressure. Now, Arkansas bothered them in spurts, but I don't think their turnover number is like indicative they can't handle pressure because I actually like their guard. I trust their guards. I trade Donaldson, Roddy Gale, and Burnett. Like they have some moments of volatility, but I generally trust those. It's more about Danny Wolf trying to throw like Magic Johnson highlight passes too much, which I think he's still does sometimes, but he's correcting that. And what he does defensively, that's why Michigan I think is as good as rated at 12. Like their defense is crazy long. I mean, Wolf's been an absolute monster and Golden. Like it's just you can't score on those guys at the rim, and they're mobile enough to slide their feet. So I like this spot, and I like the matchup, which might be overblown by that pressure angle. So that'll be official bet for me. Michigan.
I'll join you if Daly's out. So that's a contingent
that makes it.
bet.
Yeah,
That's
I think I'm going
it.
to probably play it regardless. But that's a good point. And yeah, their size up front doesn't look as like terrifying without Kyle in there either.
Yep.
ACC Pitt at Duke. Ky, Duke is a juggernaut as well. We have a few juggernauts this year in college basketball. Duke's certainly looking like, and they're going to be laying doubles against Pitt, who we know has been a great road team, but tends to be skewed. Well, at least just in some reason, but in more non-conference. They've been awesome in conference on the road as well, but can that hold up at Cameron? Obviously, the status of Ish Leggett looms large here for Pitt. I need to do the update on what his.
He played last game and was 9 for 9 from 2. Started
okay,
played 32 minutes, so he's good.
Missed that.
Yep.
God, too many games. I got to keep up. Thoughts, Mr. McKeon, with Leggett?
Many thoughts around my head, Matthew. Pitt, probably a tough dog, especially double digits. I think it's kind of tough to blow this team out. Now, Mississippi State did it, of course, but I think generally they have enough talent and offensive firepower to stay close in games. However, I think Pitt is also overrated in analytics from the eye test and in some of their results. They beat some cupcakes pretty easily, but in their big games, they haven't been overly impressive. Besides the West Virginia game, which is just aging incredibly well. And yeah, Duke is right there with Tennessee and Houston in terms of scariness on defense. Clearly the most talented team in the country by recruiting pedigree. Too big, Jim, for me to take. Again, squarely on the fence. Too many thoughts either way.
I'm close to betting Pitt. At some point, someone's going to give Duke a little bit of a push in the ACC, I think. Right now, they are projected by KenPom to go 19-1 with a 26% chance of going undefeated in their 20-game ACC slate. They have completely separated themselves from the pack. But Pitt is a tough road dog. They got Leggett back, and Damian Dunn might return. He went through warm-ups last game against Stanford. He would give them a little more scoring pop on the perimeter. Matt, I would love to see Duke take more money. Like, give me 15. I want 15 as Pitt is a road dog. But if it's where it's at 12, I would still consider the Panthers. I just think someone's going to give Duke a push, or maybe Pitt first half too. I keep going with that angle where Duke is a little bit lackadaisical, and then they're like, let's crush this team with our talent. So that could be more the angle.
Yeah, Duke they've demoralized teams with their defense in second halves. Like you just can feel the not quit factor, but call it quit factor. Like the Louisville game, I know Louisville had like 4.5 bodies. Georgia Tech, they made some runs and just eventually fizzled out. So yeah, that's just kind of what they do.
They were up 9.5, and then they won by 27. Like they just smashed.
And right, and what the biggest home game in SMU's history. So yeah, that's just pretty impressive stuff there. All right, Big 12 3-pack here. We have Cincinnati going to Baylor. Man, the Bearcats just couldn't get it done when they needed to at home. I get deja vu vibes of last year where it's a close but no cigar type team, really good analytically, but when it comes down to it, I think while we like, we'll say like cautiously, we like the guards and the wings. There really isn't a trustworthy perimeter threat offensively, Ky, with the Bearcats. I think at Baylor as a dog, which they won't be a big dog. That's the problem. I want to back them here as a dog, but they won't get enough points because I think they're getting overvalued to a degree in the markets. KenPom has this game at, excuse me, I'm looking at the wrong date here.
It's at 5. It's 5 right now.
5.
Okay. So, Ky, thoughts on the second Bears at home, laying a short number? Kind of
probably nothing for me. Strength on strength. Baylor's offense, Cincy's defense. Cincy's offense versus Baylor's defense, kind of cupcake match. Cincy advantage on the boards, but you're right. The guard play has been the shooting. Really, it's fallen off. It was hot at the beginning of the year. It has regressed to where it probably should be, and maybe having too many cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, Jim, has kind of caused Cincy to be a little stagnant on offense. They don't know who their guy is. They have a different guy every game. They have 5 guys capable of being the guy, but there's not really a clear pecking order. Nothing for me in this game.
Yeah, probably a stay away. Although last game, no Celestine, no Langston Love for Baylor, like really hurting in depth. It showed against Iowa State. They wore down badly in the second half and just kind of got ran out of Hilton. Since he has plenty of depth, that's certainly not their issue. But yeah, to Kai's point, it's just a little odd late in games. My Cincy fan friend, shout out to David Clark, he said that Jizzle James has been bad. You look at his stats and you're like, oh, he's kind of having a good year, but he's like just big games. He's not really there. He takes some bad shots. He forces. He and Day kind of have a little tug of war with who the point guard is, and they haven't sorted that out. So Matt, if you give me closer to a touchdown, I'd lean Cincinnati, but this is almost certainly a stay away. I don't want any part of this one.
Yeah, I just think it's like, don't exactly look great against really top end defenders. Their guards look a lot more mortal, despite dominating, mid and inferior competition for much of November. All right, last two here. West Virginia, man, Darian DeVries. How much money am I going to lose fade in this guy no matter who plays for the team? Doesn't make any sense.
How are they this
So
good?
stupid.
I don't know.
Yes, they're going to be laying number to Arizona, correct? Which is crazy, but maybe not that crazy at this point. Arizona, huge win at Cincy. Tough travel, going to go Midwest to Eastish coast. You want to call it that? Probably not, though. You got to keep going east, though. They're going to go the other direction again one more time in their travel, Ky. The Cats, unbelievable. Everyone jumped off the Tommy Lloyd bandwagon, back-to-back postseason losses. Tough start this year. Talent's down. I'm still with this is still a top 15, maybe top 10 team still. I'm not bailing here. I like Zona as a dog, and I'm going to lose more money fading DeVries again. So it's my second official play. It's probably going to lose. There it is.
Yeah, I do too. KenPom's got it. West Virginia won. I bet Arizona flips to a favorite. Yeah, I don't necessarily believe that West Virginia is this good. I think Oklahoma State has turned out to be pretty poor. The Kansas game is obviously great. Look, West Virginia is getting a little bit fortunate with 3-point shooting, 5th in the country against 3-point percentage defense. That's a little bit lucky. Now their interior is legit, I guess. But this Arizona's team is gonna test them in that regard. Again, like it always is. Caleb Love. Can we get good Caleb Love? We got a good game against Cincinnati. I think Arizona gets it done though. Continues their trek back up towards the quality win ladder that they need to get into the tournament.
Yeah, where the resume starts to back up the analytics. That's what it's telling you. I'm with you, Matt. I'm hopping on Arizona as well. Fill it up again. I'm gonna go against West Virginia one more time here. Through 2 games in Big 12 play, West Virginia opponents are shooting 19% from 3, and that is not sustainable. No matter how good a defense you play, no matter how well you filter the ball to the right shooters for your defense, that cannot last. Arizona's got some slight advantages in the paint if Hansberry remains out. He did actually play last game, but still no Tucker DeVries. I truly don't fully understand how West Virginia is this good. I think there's some good fortune in there, but they have been a great paint defense. I'm still going Arizona here, Matt. Even though West Virginia keeps teams in the half court, they do not let you run. That's a DeVries staple, no transition. But I think Arizona is going to be the pick for me here.
Yeah, I mean, matchup-wise, you actually could argue it's a good matchup for West Virginia. Like, they've been excellent at keeping fast teams out of transition. Like, literally did the entire Gonzaga prep to a T. And, not that this is the same prep, but it's a similar-ish prep for sure.
Yeah, their Kansas prep, they have a 60-possession game against a Kansas team that wants to run.
I still just trust in my plumes, Mr. McKeon, with the spot there for Zona, who I still think is a little bit disrespected and undervalued after a tough non-con. All right, last one here. BYU hosting Texas Tech. The Raiders going to stay in altitude. Just got a huge win at Utah. Just smacked the Utes, Jim. Healthy-ish. We like this McCaslin team. Is this sort of the start of the juggernaut we saw coming?
I do think the crescendo is on its way. They're going to start trending up. Unfortunately, I'm taking BYU here. I think the spot is just home run Cougars. Second straight elevation game for Texas Tech. They're at Utah. Now they go to BYU. Not a lot of travel, but double elevation is tough. We saw that with Pac-12 teams, Ky.
Yep.
Teams that go Utah to Colorado, you want to fade them that second leg. Now you got BYU in the mix, and BYU just played Houston. It's going to feel like easy mode when you play somebody that's not Houston. Texas Tech's defense has had real problems. UCF torched them in Lubbock. I think it's a great, great, great spot for BYU. I'll be betting the Cougars.
Yeah, lean BYU in a bounce back. The travel thing is weird. Same with Michigan, UCLA that Matt mentioned. It is strange when the road team has less travel than the home team. Now, obviously BYU made the trip that Saturday, right? And they're playing Tuesday. And I guess Texas Tech's hanging out in Salt Lake and Provo, and
they're going skiing.
Yeah,
hopefully
why not?
No ski injuries. Yeah,
no alcohol. We know that in Utah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, you probably stay in the same hotel. Like they're 40 minutes apart. Kind of, makes it easy-ish.
Jim's right though. The spot is good for Texas Tech. I mean, they're going to score too. If you want to total lean, probably over. I think it's going to be a pretty efficient game. Yeah, BYU might feel a little free from the shackles from Houston. Texas Tech's defense not close to what the Cougars are.
All right, let's fly through the rest of our goods here again. Sorry for mid-major fans, a little bit light. But Tuesday, talk some Mountain West here. Speaking of altitude, New Mexico going to Wyoming, UNLV going to Boise. Frankly, I have no profound opinions on either one of these games. Just notes, Jim, if you have any takes. Wyoming injury situation with their point guard Agib. Am I saying that correctly?
Probably not.
Probably not. That's fine. I lean New Mexico. I think they're sort of starting to figure it out. They figured out their lineups. I don't know, after that locker room brawl or whatever, maybe they just like had to hash it out, men to men, throw a through fist, and now we're back and cooking. So I like the Lobos here. That's my only slight lean, but nothing official.
Yeah, kind of lean Lobos too. I think the big thing there is without Abim, the point guard, it's harder to control tempo, and Wyoming wants to play slow. New Mexico wants to get in absolute track meets. And without your point guard, like I said, it's going to be tough to slow down that game. I think New Mexico can speed them up. I would lean that way. UNLV Boise, you got the bounce back spot with Boise after they just had a narrow, tough loss to San Diego State at home. Probably not going to lose 2 in a row at home. UNLV is better as an underdog, perception-wise, Ky, but I would probably lean the bounce back Boise Broncos.
Yeah, it's bounce back Boise Broncos for me. UNLV fat and happy off Fresno, Air Force, San Jose State, 3-0 against the 3 worst teams in the league. I think
nice.
I think they'll get popped here against Boise. Yeah.
All right, let's go to live dogs of the week. Last week, a lot of losers we suggested, including UAB, which was it looked like a winner when they were up 17 against a team that plays 20 possessions. I think the idea is to give out money line. I hope everyone out there is taking the money lines when we throw these. At least I am. So I was a loser. So congrats to you, spread backers on UAB. I was a big fat loser that stunk. God, I hate that team. Okay, SWAC. We got a little MEAC Southland. I know you guys are both experts on those leagues. I am the SWAC master. I unfortunately have no good takes here. Mississippi Valley State catching doubles at Alabama A&M. Who knows? Maybe against a SWAC team, Mississippi Valley State looks decent, but probably wishful thinking. Just a slight lean, nothing for me. Ky, Southland MEAC action, dogs, anything?
Oh gosh, well I have to look at the schedule first, Matt. I just think
McNeese is going to a Northwestern State. There's one. I mean, that's probably about it. But yeah, anything, Jim, at all? I wanted to talk Tuesday.
I'm not fading McNeese ever in the Southland.
I had a cute take last year. I thought I'd fade in every conference game. They'd be overrated. It's like, no, that was dumb. That was bad.
And as far as Mississippi Valley State goes, I will never bet that team.
Oh,
yeah. I thought it was like, all right, start of league play. Maybe they'll trend up going to Alabama State, who's been a little shorthanded. They lost by 30. They had no chance. They're dead last in the country in both effective field goal percentage offense and effective field goal percentage defense.
It's a balanced ball club. It's a balanced ball club, Jim.
Yeah, they have played the hardest schedule in the country. That does matter, but
yes,
it's a bad team.
All right, Tuesday. I think I have two. So my third official play is back to the Mountain West, guys. San Jose State hosting Utah State. I'm going to ride with Tim Miles. I think they get this done outright. You got the Josh Uduje revenge game. Uduje, I think, right?
I think it's Uduje.
Uduje.
It's a soft J. It's a hota.
Soft J. I mean, like really good player, revenge spot against his old team. Utah State looking a little bit more mortal lately. I mean, they've been awesome, but like kind of squeaking by in really close spots. Like, I just don't think it's a team I would like, can win by margin. And I think Timmy Miles in that spot, I think they get it done. So that's my only live dog, Kai. Tulane at UAB, I wrote down. If you want to fade the rat UAB team with a well coached and improving Tulane team, or I threw up Pitt at Duke. Or Jim, that was yours. Pitt at Duke. That was your toss.
Yeah,
I wish you luck.
Get there.
On your
they're not going to win. No. I kind of like the San Jose State one, and with Tulane UAB, it's money line or nothing. Like I think UAB either completely trounces them or Tulane is right there with a chance to win.
Yep.
UAB, we talked about it, a little bit mentally soft. They've been really good in first halves this year.
Yes.
They kind of just collapse most of the time, not every time, but most of the time. So yeah, maybe Tulane's second half if they're down.
I think fading UAB second half every game the rest of the year if they're winning at halftime is going to be a winning. Like they just have the look on their face of like this has happened 5 times this year. We know it's coming again. We just can't get it out of our psyches. It's tough to watch. It really is.
Yep.
Yeah, just I'll throw out like maybe one or two. You have my attention on SMU at UNC. Both teams off losses, or UNC actually off a big win against Notre Dame, but I am not impressed by this team.
Insane 4-point play with like 3 seconds
ridiculous.
left. That was I felt so bad for the Irish.
Yeah,
SMU, a nice juicy number there, Kai. Don't hate that.
Maybe a good bounce back for them. If you want to get really crazy, and I don't really on this, but I'm just going to throw it out there. Look, Georgetown's been playing a lot better. They're going to Marquette.
Oh, you're sucking up to the Georgetown fans now. You're trying to curry.
I don't think it's going to happen, but crazier things have happened. We'll say that much.
Yeah, it could be a big Tommy Sorbet game in the paint.
Yeah, he's good. He's really very good.
But yeah, he's kind of changed everything for them.
Yeah, I'll hop on the San Jose State love. I'll probably take them in the spread.
Good. Timmy Miles, good ball coach. All right, to favorites. We're better at this section. Well, we were 2-2 last week. Kentucky and Vandy won by they covered by like a combined 40 points. So nice job by us. But conference play, I just feel like this is a tougher spot to really pick off. We really have nothing on Monday. Jim, you think Houston wrecks TCU? That would qualify as a favorite. Just crazy to think that number could be like 20, but I mean, that's what Houston does. So
yeah, I said during the breakdown I'd lay up to 18 with it 17 at Ken Palm. I hope we get something in that realm, but
I'm seeing early markets like 18.5.
Oh, you rats. Okay. Well, I'll have to think long and hard about it. But yeah, I just think TCU is not good, and Houston is, like I said, built to destroy teams that are not good offensively.
There might be some sicko out there who likes TCU at 20, so maybe you can get a little punch back.
I hope so. That'd be great.
All right, Tuesday, 3 more large conference spreads. Iowa State hosting Utah. Iowa State, Ken Palm has it 20. Yeah, I mean, it could be higher. Who knows? St. Mary's hosting LMU. St. Mary's minus 12. LMU, I believe, beat St. Mary's last year, 2 years ago. But I kind of think St. Mary's kills them personally. And then Toledo hosting Eastern Michigan, Kai. The Rocket Chips got to get off to a good start in conference play. Do they keep it rolling against, what do you call it? The DePaul defectors. EMU has 3 DePaul transfers from last year, 2 or 3 or something like that. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, if you think Toledo's a big buy, aka they're way below where they should be analytically, and they're heading into conference play, a conference they usually dominate, then yeah, I think you keep betting Toledo. I lean their way for sure. I'll probably be on them. Man, I wanted to say no way I'm backing Utah on 20 points in conference, but well, they've lost to Baylor by 25. They've lost to Texas Tech by 28. I'm not sure I want to take them against an Iowa State team that's better than both those teams.
Yeah, I'm going to take Toledo. I like Kai, you just basically framed it. They are way undervalued analytically compared to what I think they still are and can be and should be. And so I think the ascent comes in MAC plays where you kind of pick up on them, recalibrating to what they should have been preseason. Love Toledo. The Iowa State thing, man. They are ridiculous. They own Baylor. That certainly helped inflate them a little bit. They've covered 10 straight games against Baylor for you listeners out there. Maybe circle the spot.
Really, holy cow.
Yeah, Otts owns Drew. It's wild. But 20 points. It's nice that Iowa State has an offense this year, like an elite one. So if you're going to lay 20 points, you want to be able to score, and they can. It's not just like having to suffocate teams at Hilton. But that's too many for me, Matthew. I can't get there with all Iowa State. St. Mary's, I'm kind of interested. I don't think LMU plays up well. I think they're kind of like a bully bad teams with Jevin Porter as a potential pro, but not overly well coached. St. Mary's can out execute them. And you're right. 2 years ago, LMU beat them in OT.
Yeah, LMU beat the crap out of Oregon State, a good team, very good team this year, but then got their breaks beat in by a very angry Gonzaga ball club. I guess they had a win before that, but still probably bitter from some of their L's. All right, let's go to a couple of travel spots here. We'll wrap this up with some trash and get out of here. Take out the trash and go home, Mr. McKeon. But first, a couple of spots. We got the travel spots pretty well nailed. Like the two stupid Grand Canyon FIU non-conference host bye games.
Yeah, we're unfortunately those are gone. If we don't get the random team
they're
across
again.
country.
So, I did. We talked about the UCLA Michigan, sort of inverted travel. I'll call it Texas Tech BYU again, kind of an inverted travel with the host team having to fly back, the road team traveling basically not at all, staying right there where they are. And I said Wichita, Kai. They played Monday, they play Monday after a Friday turnaround. I think it's one of the only oddities in the AAC schedule like this. Not like a crazy like back to back or anything, but I do kind of like South Florida. Just as a note, there as a dog at playing the Shockers. So that was it for me for spots.
Yeah, I like the Michigan to UCLA. I'm coming around. I've been kind of playing with that in my head. I know Jim said he'd take Michigan with no daily. I do like that Michigan spot. I would say the same about Texas Tech, except it is at altitude. And
Yeah, that
BYU
makes
coming
it-
back off
right.
getting blown out to Houston, it makes me think differently on that particular one.
Matt, with the South Florida thing, I was almost leaning the other way from a different spot lens, if you will, of the 0-1 Wichita coming back home against 1-0 South Florida, who now
Good
goes
point.
on road. I kind of like that to flip, but looking at the number, 8-9 points, I don't think I'll be able to get there on the number. If it
Yeah.
was lower, I would lay it, but it's South Florida's just had some weird struggles this year. I mean,
Yep.
obviously pretty understandable given what happened in the preseason, but it's they're so now lowly valued that the spreads aren't really there to fade them.
Again, yeah, we're kind of reaching for grasp for straws and spots since the start of conference play. It's just everyone's in the same boat, right? There's not like any
Yep.
major advantage. Just like bet who you like, bet who you think's undervalued or is going to play well.
It's a fun week where it's just a lot of like good.
It's a pure
small
handicap,
spread power conference games.
Yeah.
Like who do you think is going to win most of the time?
All right, let's take out the trash here before we head out. 1-0 last week because we got Moorhead against Southern Indiana because Southern Indiana, I guess, stinks. I don't know.
My Eagles.
I got a feeling the OVC will be heavily featured in this section. Maybe we just make this an OVC section, kind of sponsored by the OVC going forward.
They're all the same.
They're
Every
all
team's the same.
There's no delineation. All right, Tulsa at UTSA. The only one that really qualifies. So on Tuesday, the two bottom feeders in the AAC square off. I kind of thought UTSA could be a fun little team this year under Austin Flont. Got some decent transfers, not good, but decent. But you lost to Army. Okay, not good. But then you followed up by getting demolished last game. So I mean, as bad as Tulsa's been, like UTSA doesn't give me a ton of warm and fuzzies, Kai. They're laying 5. I still lean their way, though. I have confidence in Klonch and Co. I think Eric Conkle is on his way out at Tulsa, working on his second disaster season in 3 tries at that regime.
This Tulsa team is terrible with a capital T that rhymes with P that stands for pool. They have never beaten any team inside the top 300 this season. That's horrible. Every single chance I've had to fade Tulsa, I have done so successfully. Unfortunately, I've not done it all season, and I wish I would have. Perhaps I will against UTSA, who I think is much more talented.
Yeah, I mean, if your peak season at Tulsa is 184th, which is worse than any of Frank Haith's seasons. And he's got 2 trending towards maybe outside the top 300. It's been rough for Mr. Conkle. And he's tried to like completely change how they play defensively. They run people off the three-point line. They were not doing that the past couple of years. Trying to alter things. It's not good. I still think UTSA has more upside to access than Tulsa does, Matt. So if we're taking the trash out here, I'll Roadrunner. I'll meep with you.
You know, I'll make it an official play. Why not? My 4th for the pro. And hey, let's bring it to the recap section. What are we spewing out? What's official? A lot of lanes, a lot of discussion, but where's the money going, Kai? We'll start with you.
All right, a few. I'm taking Rutgers at home against Wisconsin. That spread is already looking like close to a pick, not 4, like we were hoping we were going to get. Houston, I think, demolishes TCU. I really like Florida against Tennessee. I've
Good
been
boy. I'm glad someone's going to do it.
I've
Good.
been wanting to back this team. I just can't get there on the number. I'm like, why not? I watched this team. I think this team is amazing. Florida, Michigan against UCLA. I'm gonna take Boise to pop UNLV. UNLV 3-0 in Mountain West play against the bottom feeders. San Jose State against Utah State. That's a scary one. And then Toledo to blow out Eastern Michigan.
Good man. I'm joining you on a couple of those. I'm going to lay it with Houston too. I'll move my strike up to 19. Why am I being particular in that range? I think they're going to beat TCU by 30. So yeah,
Ooh.
I will lay it there. Michigan, if Daly is out, I'm going to be more of a conditional handicap there on that one. I'm going to take Arizona. I love BYU. That's probably like a 1.5 unit for me. And I'm a guy that loves Texas Tech. I just think the spot's really bad for Texas Tech there.
Fire up Mormons.
I'll take Toledo, as Ky also did. Then a couple we did not discuss. I'm going to take Oklahoma State at home versus K-State.
Good luck. Team's
Yeah,
terrible.
good luck.
So is
Team is
K-State.
awful.
So is K-State.
Yeah, that's
we'll
it. That was almost a trash. I mean, that's over. Sorry, K-State, no K-State fans, but relative to your expectations, that is a trash section worthy matchup. I agree.
Yes, yeah. Of all power spots, that is trash. And then I'm also going to take Iowa at home in the Big Ten. They just had that absolutely ludicrous defensive performance against Wisconsin where they got like destroyed. Wisconsin shot 67% from the 3-point line. Gave up 116 points at the Kohl Center. I think he had a bounce back at Carver Hawkeye out of the Hawkeyes. I'll take Iowa.
What do I'm sorry, 1, 2. Yeah, I have 4. Thank you. My picks. Here they come. Michigan, as promised. Unconditional, unlike Jim. Arizona, unconditionally backing the Cats. And up at West Virginia, that one's probably going to lose. So I would say of the 4, you can follow 3 of these. Don't follow this one. So yeah, so Arizona is a loser, but officially best bet for me. San Jose State, Timmy Miles, why not? And then the Meet Roadrunners in the Battle of Trash. 4 locks from Matty Cox. Fellas, that concludes another phenomenal, I'll say that's the word I was looking for. Phenomenal breakdown by all of us. BBOC coming to you every week. Monday, Tuesday action, the rest of the college basketball season. Take care. Good luck in your wagers.